You know, I get really tired of seeing Congress members interviewed in general because usually all they do is go on their partisan networks and sides and just scream and throw shit at each other, or sit in their useless committee hearings trying to have like gotcha moments that they can put on Twitter and fundraise off of. However, if more interviews were like this one with Thomas Massie, I'd watch him, because here he's actually talking about something that actually matters, okay? Something you never hear Congress members talk about because they are so fucking corrupt in a bipartisan fashion that you won't see them talk about things like the fact that they have to buy their way on committees, the fact that they're all funded by big corporations and dark money billionaires, the fact that they trade stocks, which should be illegal because if you did it, you'd be in jail. It's quite literally insider trading. Anyway, most of them are owned by AIPAC. Most of them. There is a small handful of Democrats that are not, and that would include people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, AOC, and of course, Jamal Bowman, who is now facing a primary where AIPAC is putting over $10 million against him. So this portion of this interview was very interesting to me because Thomas Massie, he's a Republican from Kentucky, is one of the few that doesn't take AIPAC money. I think he is the only Republican that doesn't. And it is for that reason that I was very happy to see him win his primary, because I'm on the left, okay, bitch? So people were like, oh, why are you cheering him winning? He's a right-winger and blah, 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 blah. When it comes to this, I don't even care, okay? I was happy to see him win because he defeated AIPAC. I am so tired of foreigners running our elections that to see him win despite the fact that they put so much money on it, here, guys, I'm Team America, okay? So whether I like his policy, prescriptions, or whatever the fuck, I'm still going to be Team America. And so, yes, I was happy to see him beat them. But when you think about that, that is insanity. We shouldn't have foreign governments spending money in our elections and deciding our primaries. What in the land before time is happening in this country that a foreign lobbying organization that isn't registered with FARA, by the way, can be the ones deciding our elections? I could go on forever, baby, but listen to what he said here. And trigger warning, Tucker Carlson at some point has to go off about how much he loves Israel, what a great place it is. Calm down. And listen, I gave Carlson credit for the fact that he was the only person I can think of that actually interviewed a Palestinian Christian from the occupied West Bank. Like, no one does that. But I'm gonna need you to calm down here. We don't need any more people in this country in positions of power kissing the ass of the Israelis. Okay, go.
Republicans who come to me on the floor and say, I wish I could vote with you today. Yours is the right vote, but I would just take too much flack back home.
Okay, pause. I don't know if he's referring to AIPAC there or like a vote that has to do with the Israeli regime, but they have to be people that are working within AIPAC, right? Because I find it very hard to believe that any constituent, any actual American who's just trying to live their lives is calling up their Congress member furiously to be like, make sure to send more bombs to Israel.
Republicans who come to me and say, that's wrong what AIPAC is doing to you. Let me talk to my AIPAC person. By the way, everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are, firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
Every member has something like this?
This is insane.
I don't know how it works on the Democrat side, but that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them. So I've had
That's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, I'll talk to my AIPAC person. And it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to, dial those ads back.
Why have I never heard this before?
It doesn't benefit anybody. Why would they want to tell their constituents that they've basically got a buddy system with somebody who's representing a foreign country? It doesn't benefit the congressman for people to know that, so they're not going to tell you that.
Have you seen any other country do anything like this? Like,
no.
Russia obviously determines the outcome of our elections. We keep hearing that. Does anyone have a Putin guy that they talk to?
Not only do they not have a Putin guy, look, they don't have a Britain guy. They don't have an Australian guy. They don't have a Germany dude. Like, it's the only country that does this, that has somebody that uniformly. I guarantee you there's some spreadsheet at AIPAC where the AIPAC dude who's matched up with the congressman is there.
Probably.
And then all the congressman's votes on the issue. Oh, has the congressman been to Israel? They pay for trips for congressmen and their spouses to go to Israel.
Trips.
I'm not the only Republican who hasn't taken the AIPAC trip to Israel, but I'm probably one of a dozen that hasn't taken that trip. And the other ones just haven't got around to it.
What's the trip like? Do you know?
It's kind of like, I think, vacation-y. You go see the wall, you go see the sights, things like that.
It's such a great, I must say, it's such a great country. Jerusalem, especially, is just such a wonderful place that's got to have a big effect.
You go like swim in the Dead Sea.
Yeah,
Like,
I've done that.
Yeah,
not on an AIPAC trip, but I would recommend it to anyone.
Are you sure it wasn't an AIPAC trip?
I paid for it myself. No, I mean it's just funny. I mean, I am like a legit lover of Israel, of the place Israel. I like the people, and I love the food, and like the whole thing is so great. But that's distinct from the government of Israel. It's just a foreign government.
My sense is the people are very entrepreneurial.
Totally.
They're publicly minded. You know, they care about their country. That they're generally good people, right?
That's certainly been my experience in trips there for sure. It's great. It's just I think it's probably one of my favorite, maybe my all-time favorite place to go.
Yeah. I know.
With my family. But that's just a completely different thing from taking orders from its government.
Okay, let's move past the very yikes, really unnecessarily over the top drooling over the Israeli regime. And listen, bitch, I'm a Christian. I'd love to go to Jerusalem. I'd love to go to Bethlehem and see where Jesus was born, but that's not what we're talking about. Because what does that have to do with AIPAC, okay? He was giving some very interesting answers and insights that we generally don't hear. And the reason why we don't hear it is because not only is our entire Congress bought by AIPAC, so is Donald Trump, so is Joe Biden, and so is our entire media on both sides of the aisle. This is one of those bipartisan issues that you don't really hear about because they all benefit from it. So honestly, you should have kept talking about that. Why are you talking about their food? Which, by the way, it's not their food. They're culture vultures. They just took it from surrounding countries. Second of all, why does that matter? The question should have been, the follow-up question should have been, what do you think their goal is taking them there? You think people just take people on trips for free? Obviously, it's a propaganda tour. They do it for the same reason why they take a bunch of born and raised American citizens on birthright. It's absolute insanity. And I'm gonna need a lot more of you to start thinking more critically about this kind of stuff. Because why don't they talk about that? They don't talk about it for the same reason why they won't talk about the insider trading, as I mentioned, because they both benefit from it. Why would they talk about it? They'll go out all day and punch each other over bullshit. They want to talk about Trump's hush money trial. They want to talk about Hunter Biden's dick pics. They want to talk about everything except for what matters. Biden, Trump, and Democrat Party. But what you won't hear them talk about is the Israeli regime's lobby. What you won't hear them talk about is how all of them go in pretty middle class and then come out multi-hundred millionaires because they do insider trading. They don't even write their own legislation. Lobbyists write their legislation. Which, by the way, I would love to interview a lobbyist or an ex-lobbyist because those are the people that really run DC. The Congress people are just figureheads. They're just the puppets that take the money. I'm getting off topic, but I find it incredibly interesting that he even actually talked about this because most of them don't. I would have loved to have heard more. Now, listen, Congressman Massie, I know you're not my congressman, and I know that I'm leftist scum and everything. I'm a communist. I'm Hamas. But I would love to talk to you about this, okay? We could do a TikTok live. You can come on my YouTube channel, whatever. I live in New York, the blue, evil city of Democrats. I would find it very interesting because I think we have this in common. And that really is what I want to get into, is more of what they do and how they operate in DC. I think we all have the right as Americans to know that. Why don't we hear that more? I don't know about you guys, but regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, I am tired of our Congress that literally does nothing but theater, and the only bills they pass are on behalf of the Israeli regime and corporations and the 1%. What I want is to hear about what really goes on. I want to see Sassy Massie go on more podcasts, even if he doesn't want to talk to me, and talk about AIPAC. In fact, I think you should do a podcast with Jamal Bowman, because despite the squabbles that you guys had in the past, what you have in common is that you've both been targeted by AIPAC. If you're an American, if you're a taxpayer, you are paying right now, not only for the Israeli regime to drop bombs on children's heads in Gaza, we also paid for a pier to bring humanitarian aid in that floated away. And the reason why that pier was supposedly necessary was because lunatic settlers were blocking the Rafah crossing. So if you're a taxpayer, you're paying all three ends. You're paying for the bombs, paying for the pier, and then you're paying for the humanitarian aid the settlers are blocking. And a word to all you MAGA motherfuckers, all you conservatives who go, we don't have a country anymore. What happened to patriotism? Yeah, you're right. We don't have a country anymore because our country has been co-opted, and has been for a long time, by a foreign government. How come that doesn't bother you? Where are you guys at? Where are all you America First people? Where are you at? Because last time I checked, Israel's not the 51st state, okay? They may control our president and our Congress. And yes, they do own Biden. Despite the things that you hear every single day from right-wing Zionist lunatics like Barry Weiss and Rave Dubin and Ben Shapiro saying, he's Hamas! He's just abandoning Israel! Not only is that not even close to true, it is next level demented. Biden is a Zionist. Biden has let Netanyahu dog walk him and humiliate him at every turn. And despite him and Kamala Harris, everywhere they go, getting protested about the genocide in Gaza, he's still like, yeah, keep going. He's literally compromising his own re-election because that's how loyal he is to the Israeli regime. So when you hear people say, yeah, because Biden's abandoning Israel, lunatic, you really need to ask yourself what their motive is for saying that, because that is straight up lunatic shit. They're not the 51st state. And if you care about this country, whoever you are, you should be outraged that a foreign government is not only buying off all our politicians, but they're writing our legislation. They just passed a bill to criminalize anti-Semitism so that they can crack down on your freedom of speech as an American citizen. And this has been the least productive Congress, the 118th Congress, ever. What bills have they passed? Oh, right. Taking more of your tax dollars to give to the Israeli regime. A lot of you like to say, wake up, wake up, wake up. Look for the conspiracy theory. Look, it's not a conspiracy. It's literally right in our face. It's official policy. Wake up. Anyway, if you're a lawmaker or even a lobbyist, ex-lobbyist, current lobbyist, whatever, and you want to talk about AIPAC or DMFI,